We're going to look at probability and odds, switching back and forth from one to the other, and just how to figure out probability in general. Now, probability is just basically looking at how many ways work for you and dividing it by the total number of possible outcomes. Where odds, on the other hand, is ways that work for you compared to ways that don't work for you. So probability, if something never happens, it is zero. And probability ranges all the way up to 100% or 1, because the ways that work is never larger than the total number of options. It can never be larger than 1. So probability always ranges between 0 and 1. That's not the case with odds. Odds could be larger than 1, don't have to be. So what we see here in red is, say, 9 out of 10 dentists recommend Colgate toothpaste. So there's 9 dentists that recommend it out of a total of 10, so that would be a probability. If we were looking for odds, those that recommend it, it would be 9 that recommend it, and then there'd be 1 that doesn't. So you could go like this. A lot of times, odds are written as a ratio, and so it would be like this. So let's go ahead and start here. We are asked to find the odds when we're given the probability. Well, probability, remember, is ways that work. Well, odds, on the other hand, is also ways that work. So we know when we're going to go ahead and write this with odds, the top number is still going to be the same. Now, as we look here, if this is ways that work and this is total options, that means there's 7 ways that don't work. And that's what the bottom is for your odds. Now, whether you write it like this or as a ratio like this does not make a difference. Now, down below, you're given odds and you're asked to go backwards to try to find probability. Now, I'm going to write it as a fraction. So I'd have 2 over 23. Now, I have 2 ways that work. Remember, with probability, the top is always the same as odds. Now, if you have then 9 ways, or not 9, 23 ways that don't work and 2 ways that do work, that's a total of 25 options. This would be your probability. That's odds and probability and switching back and forth. But let's go ahead and take a look at rolling a dice here. We are rolling a dice 3 times. Now, we need to be able to roll a 1. Well, there's only one 1 on a dice out of 6 options. Then we need to roll a 2. Well, there's only one 2 out of 6 options. And then we need to roll a 3. Well, there's only one. Why did I say there's only one option for this? So then when you're rolling a 3, there's only one 3. And so then all you have to do is just go ahead and multiply these together. Basically, it's that fundamental counting principle stuff coming back into play. And we get this. So down below here, we have a bag with some marbles, 4 yellow, 5 blue, and 6 red. And we're pulling a marble out, and because it says with replacement, we're recording that marble's color, and then we're putting it back in the bag. So when we look at this, we're trying to find a yellow followed by a red. Well, we have 4 yellow marbles to choose from out of a total of 15 marbles when you add the 4, the 15, or the 4, the 5, and the 6 together. Now, we're recording that color, we're putting it back in. So there's still 4 marbles to choose from, and there's still 15 marbles to choose from. And then we can go, oh, sorry, we're looking for our red one here. And red, there's this. And so then you can go ahead and multiply this out, and you get, turning it into a nice fraction would be this. Now, it is possible you could do a decimal approximation, and if you did that, you would get something close to this here. So down below we have two options to consider. Not the blue, so that means its marble would be yellow or red, which is 10 of them, still out of 15 options. Then the second one does need to be a blue. Because we're putting it back in, there's still the same number of marbles to choose from, and there's 5 or blue marbles. And then we can go ahead and multiply across, and we get this. Now, it is possible that you have what you're doing to begin with is affected by what you do the second time. We're kind of going back to the same situation we had to begin with there, with yellow followed by red. But we only have 3 yellow to begin with out of a total of 17 marbles. Now we are not replacing it, so we're pulling a marble out, recording it, and keeping it out. So that means there's only 16 marbles left. Now, we pulled out a yellow to begin with, and then there's still going to be 8 red. And so then when you go ahead and multiply this out, you would get 3 out of 34, or about this. Down below we have to get a blue followed by a blue. So when we're looking at blue, we have 6 marbles out of 17, but we're not putting it back in, so there's only 16 marbles when we reach back in. And because we already pulled out of blue, there's only 5 blue marbles left, so we'd have this. And then when you multiply that out, you would get 15 out of 137, which is about 0.1103. And then we're going to go ahead and take a look at a deck of cards. Now, some of you play cards and you know this, and some of you maybe don't, but a deck of cards has 4 suits: clubs, spades, hearts, diamonds. And then each suit has an ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, a 10, a jack, a queen, and a king. That's a deck of cards, so just be aware of that in case you would need. Now here we're asked to draw 2 cards without replacement, so that's going to be key. So we need to have a heart. Well, if you look at the hearts here, there's 13 hearts out of the 52. Then we're going ahead and getting a club. Well, there's 13 clubs. But because we're not putting that first heart back in, there's only 51 cards left to choose from. So now if you go ahead and multiply this together, you would get 13 out of 204, which is about 0.0637. The same idea can be used with marbles, where one thing is affected by the other thing. So here we're looking at still doing 2 marbles. We need to get a white marble. And we have 2 whites out of a total of 7 choices. And it says does not replace. So you're still going to then not have, you're not putting that marble back in. So then we have 3 blue, because we had pulled out a red, so it didn't affect the number of blue. Now we pulled out a red, we kept that marble out, so there's only 6 left for when you're looking at the blue. And so then you can go ahead and multiply this out. You get 1 over 7, which is about 0.1429.